The stars stretched like silver threads across the endless black of space. A small human vessel drifted silently near the edge of Reiner Union patrol routes. Its hull was scarred from micrometeoroid impacts, and its engines flickered like a candle about to go out. Inside the ship, a lone figure worked with stubborn focus, refusing to surrender to despair. His name was Aaron, a human engineer from a distant colony world. He had been stranded for days, keeping his failing ship alive with patchwork repairs and sheer determination. The air was thin, the temperature was low, and the food supply was almost gone, but he did not stop. He tightened bolts with shaking hands, rewired panels with tired eyes, and forced his body to keep moving even when it screamed for rest. On the other side of space, a Reiner Union patrol ship detected the weak human signal. The Union vessel, sleek and bright, glided closer. Its crew gathered at the view window as the broken vessel came into sight. The leader of the patrol was Myra, a young alien officer known for her curiosity about other species. Her smooth violet skin reflected the faint light, and her 4 bright eyes blinked with both caution and wonder. "Life signs detected," reported one of the crew. "But weak." Myra gave a calm order. "Prepare boarding. Whoever is inside has lasted longer than expected in such a state. I want to know why." The Reiner crew boarded the human ship. The airlock groaned as they stepped inside, their suits protecting them from the failing environment. What they found stunned them. A single human still worked at the core of the ship, his clothes stained with grease, his hair damp with sweat. His body swayed slightly, but his hands did not stop moving. "Impossible," whispered one of the Reiner engineers. "How is he still conscious?" Aaron looked up when he noticed them. His eyes were bloodshot but sharp. He gave a small nod, then turned back to his tools as if nothing unusual had happened. Myra approached carefully. "You are human," she said, her voice steady but filled with curiosity. "How long have you been repairing this ship?" Aaron thought for a moment. 3 days, he answered simply. "Maybe more. I lost count." The Reiner crew exchanged stunned glances. 3 days without real rest was unthinkable to them. Their kind needed long hours of recovery after even short bursts of work. To continue for 3 days without stopping was beyond reason. Myra tilted her head, studying him closely. 3 times, without stopping? Human, that should not be possible. Aaron shrugged lightly, his movements slow but certain. "It was either that, or the ship would die. If the ship dies, I die." So I kept going. There was no pride in his words, only plain truth. That honesty unsettled Myra more than if he had boasted. She had read reports about humans before, describing them as adaptable and stubborn, but seeing it with her own eyes was different. The determination on Aaron's face was stronger than any data she had studied. "Come with us," Myra said finally. "Our ship is stable. You cannot stay here." For a moment Aaron hesitated. He looked around his vessel, his creation, now reduced to a wreck. His shoulders sagged, but he gave a slow nod. "All right." The Reiner crew guided him out, but Myra lingered a little longer, her gaze sweeping over the crude but effective repairs he had managed. She knew their best engineers could not have kept this broken ship alive for even half the time Aaron had. There was something about humans that defied reason, something hidden beneath their ordinary form. Back aboard the Union ship, Aaron was given food and rest, though he resisted at first, wanting to help the crew. Myra insisted firmly that he sit. As he ate, the alien officers whispered among themselves, still shaken. Some doubted his words, but Myra silenced them. "I saw it," she said with quiet conviction. "He worked without rest. His body should have failed, yet it did not. We will study this." Aaron overheard her and gave a small tired smile. "There is nothing special to study," he said. "Humans just keep going when we must." Myra did not reply, but inside her mind, the words echoed. Just keep going. Simple words, yet heavy with meaning. She understood now that this human might not be the strongest or fastest being she had met, but there was a power in him that none of her kind possessed. For the first time, Myra felt a spark of admiration. She had seen many species across the stars, each with their own strength, but this was something new. Human endurance was not just a trait. It was a force. And as she looked at Aaron, sitting weary yet still alert, she knew this was only the beginning of a story that would change how her people saw humans forever. The Union ship moved steadily through the glittering stars, carrying Aaron along with the curious Reiner crew. Myra watched him closely, fascinated by his calm demeanor. While the aliens rested and slept in shifts, Aaron seemed almost indifferent to exhaustion. He ate little, drank carefully, and spent most of his time observing the ship's systems, learning their designs quickly. Myra decided to see just how far humans could go. She called Aaron to the ship's engineering lab. "We want to understand you," she said, her eyes bright with curiosity. "Your species has endurance beyond what we expected. We want to know how you work under stress." Aaron tilted his head. "You want to test me?" he asked quietly. There was no fear in his voice. "Yes," Myra replied. "It will help us know how to use your skills in the future. It is not a punishment." The lab was filled with equipment designed to measure strength, speed, stamina, and problem-solving skills. Myra assigned her best engineers to create challenges for Aaron. At first, they asked him to lift moderately heavy objects, the kind their own species could manage for only a short time. Aaron completed each task, his movements steady, his muscles straining but never failing. Next came more complicated tests. Aaron had to solve a series of engineering problems, each requiring both thought and physical effort. He rewired circuits, adjusted control panels, and recalibrated instruments with little pause. The aliens were amazed. Even after hours of continuous work, he showed no signs of giving up. The Reiner crew could not believe their eyes. Many species in the galaxy could perform specific tasks better than humans, but none could continue for so long without rest. Myra's voice trembled slightly as she observed him. "It is remarkable," she whispered. Her assistant, Tillo, shook his head. "I have never seen any being work so long. Even our most resilient engineers cannot last one full cycle without exhaustion. This human, he keeps going." Aaron wiped sweat from his forehead. "I just focus on the task," he said simply. "If I stop thinking about tiredness, my body just keeps moving." Myra nodded. She had noticed this pattern before in humans. They seemed to endure because they chose not to stop, not because they were stronger or faster. The aliens often relied on sheer power, but humans relied on something else entirely: persistence. To further test him, Myra designed a sequence of endurance trials. Aaron had to maintain his focus while lifting, running, and solving puzzles in succession. The aliens monitored every movement, every heartbeat, every sign of fatigue. Hours passed. Aaron's hands were red, his legs ached, his eyes burned, yet he continued. Finally, Myra spoke aloud, her voice filled with awe. 3 times, without stopping. I cannot believe it. Human, How is this possible? Aaron smiled faintly. It is not magic. It is just. I do not give up when something is important. If I need to survive, or help others survive, I keep going. That is all. Myra studied him closely. She realized that humans had a quality her people often underestimated. It was not strength or speed alone. It was determination. Even the best soldiers of the Reiner Union could not maintain this level of effort without rest. Aaron's persistence was shocking, but it also inspired her. Later, the alien crew gathered to discuss their observations. "He is extraordinary," said Tillo. "I do not know if any other species could do this. We should record everything. We may need humans in situations where endurance is required." Myra agreed. "We must remember, though, that he is not invincible. Humans can be hurt or fail if pushed too far. But the will to continue, that is something special. It is not just his body. It is his mind, his choice." Aaron overheard their discussion quietly. He felt no pride, only responsibility. "I am just doing what I must," he said. "If you need help, I will do it. If I fail, then others suffer. That is enough reason to keep moving." The aliens were silent. Myra felt a deep respect for this human. She had studied countless species in the galaxy, but she had never encountered one that could inspire others simply by refusing to give up. She thought about her own species' limits and wondered how humans survived on their harsh, unpredictable planet. Perhaps this endurance was the reason they thrived where other species might have failed. As the ship continued its journey, Aaron worked alongside the crew. He repaired minor systems, helped optimize energy use, and explained human techniques in simple terms. Myra observed quietly, noting how humans solved problems with creativity as well as persistence. By the end of the first week, the Reiner crew began to adapt. Some learned to pace themselves, inspired by Aaron's example. Others remained skeptical, unwilling to believe that a human could truly continue for so long without collapse. Myra, however, was convinced. Humans were not the strongest, not the fastest, but they had a force that no alien species could match, the ability to endure when all else failed. And Myra could not stop thinking about it. This human had survived 3 days straight of work on a broken ship, and he had come aboard her vessel as if nothing had happened. She knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had more to show, and she was determined to witness it all. The Reiner Union ship glided smoothly between glowing star clusters, carrying Aaron along with the alien crew. Myra watched him closely from the control deck, fascinated by his quiet strength. Unlike the aliens, who required cycles of rest to recover from even minor tasks, Aaron seemed to move through the ship with endless energy. He studied each system, observed patterns, and offered suggestions that even the ship's engineers had not considered. "Human," Myra said, approaching him one morning. "We have a routine mission ahead, but it will require long hours of careful navigation and system checks. Are you able to participate?" Aaron nodded. "Yes. I can help." Myra studied him, her 4 eyes reflecting surprise. Even after days of continuous work on his own ship, he showed no signs of fatigue that would stop him from contributing. She realized that humans were built differently. Where aliens relied on rest, humans relied on persistence. The first challenge came sooner than expected. While passing through an uncharted asteroid field, a sudden collision alert flashed on the ship's displays. Small rocks struck the hull, damaging sensors and shields. The crew scrambled to manage the damage. Alien engineers moved with precision but could only handle so much at a time before exhaustion slowed them down. Myra watched them, aware that even a single mistake could cause critical failures. Then she turned to Aaron. "Can you help?" she asked. Aaron did not hesitate. He moved to the engineering bay, his hands steady despite the warning alarms. He checked the damaged panels, rewired broken circuits, and sealed microfractures in the hull. Hours passed, and the work never stopped. While the alien crew required rotations of rest, Aaron continued without pause. Myra observed with growing amazement. "He is extraordinary," whispered Tillo, another engineer. "I have never seen a being work through a crisis like this without collapsing. Even the strongest among us could not last half this time." Aaron wiped sweat from his brow and continued. "It is not about being strong. It is about doing what must be done. If the ship fails, everyone fails. I cannot stop." As the asteroid field cleared, the crew faced another problem. Energy levels in the ship's core began fluctuating, threatening to shut down critical systems. The aliens began their checks, moving slower as fatigue weighed on them. Myra realized the task would take hours, and some engineers might not be able to finish. Aaron stepped forward. He coordinated with the crew, guiding them through repairs while keeping his own hands busy. He adjusted energy flows, replaced circuits, and recalibrated the navigation system without a break. Myra watched him and felt a growing sense of respect. His body could be tired, but his mind remained sharp, focused entirely on solving the problem. Several times, Myra gasped as Aaron refused to pause. "3 times without stopping, and he continues," she said quietly. She recorded every moment, noting how he managed both physical and mental strain with no sign of giving up. The aliens began to notice another effect. While Aaron did not slow down, his example inspired them. Engineers who had been on the brink of collapse found renewed strength, moving faster and more efficiently. Myra realized that human endurance was not just a physical trait, it had a psychological impact. Humans could encourage others to keep going simply by refusing to quit themselves. Hours passed, and the ship stabilized. Every system returned to normal, and the crew took a moment to rest. Myra approached Aaron. "You are remarkable. Your endurance, it is unlike anything I have seen. Even when we were exhausted, you continued. You saved us all from serious damage." Aaron shook his head gently. "I did what anyone would do if the situation required it. I just kept going." Myra studied him, her admiration growing. She understood now that humans had a quality her species often overlooked. They might not be the strongest or the fastest, but they could endure longer than almost any other species. Persistence and determination were part of their nature. As the ship continued through deep space, Aaron remained busy. He checked life support systems, optimized power distribution, and assisted with navigation. Myra watched him quietly, noting how humans combined endurance with intelligence. His efforts were steady, careful, and unrelenting. By the end of the day, the crew had learned an important lesson. They could rely on Aaron in ways they could not rely on any other being. His determination made them believe that even the most difficult challenges could be overcome. Myra realized that humanity's strength was not just in the body but in the choice to continue when others would give up. For the first time, she truly understood the words she had spoken when she first met him, 3 times, without stopping. Human, that should not be possible. Now she knew it was possible. Humans could defy limits not by power alone, but by the force of their will. And as Aaron worked steadily into the night, Myra silently promised herself that she would witness the full potential of humans. They had only just begun to show what they could do in the vast galaxy. The hum of the Union ship filled the corridors as it traveled through deep space. Aaron moved from one section to another, checking systems and assisting where needed. Myra followed him quietly, still amazed at his endurance. The crew had begun to notice the difference in human ability, and whispers circulated throughout the ship. "I cannot believe it," said Tillo to another engineer. "He works tirelessly. Hours pass, and he does not slow. How is this possible?" The other engineer shook his head. "I have studied many species across the galaxy, yet I have never seen anyone persist like this. Even when we push ourselves, we need recovery. He does not." Myra listened from a distance. She understood their surprise, but she also felt pride. This human, stranded and alone in the cold void of space, had already earned their respect. He was not trying to impress anyone. He simply refused to give up, and his actions were impossible to ignore. Later, Myra called a private meeting with the senior crew. "We must discuss the human," she said. "He is not ordinary. We should study him carefully, but we must also respect his limits." Several of the crew looked uncertain. "He is different," said one. "We cannot rely on humans in the same way we rely on our own species. Their bodies are fragile." Myra shook her head. "Perhaps, but their minds are strong. Their determination is remarkable. When faced with impossible situations, he continues while others fail. That is strength we cannot ignore." Meanwhile, Aaron continued his work, unaware of the discussion behind him. He repaired systems, ran diagnostics, and assisted engineers with complicated calculations. Myra noticed that his attention to detail was as precise as his endurance was long. There was a calmness about him, a quiet focus that inspired those around him. As the days passed, the crew began comparing their own abilities to Aaron's. They reviewed historical records of humans, looking for patterns. Myra found accounts of explorers surviving harsh climates, soldiers enduring long campaigns, and scientists working through dangerous conditions. A clear pattern emerged: humans were persistent. Their bodies might not be the strongest, but their minds allowed them to continue when most other species would collapse. "This is fascinating," Myra said to Tillo. "They are not the fastest, not the strongest, yet they endure. Perhaps that is why they survive in their own harsh environment. They must push beyond normal limits every day." Tillo nodded slowly. "Yes, it is unlike anything I have seen. It is as if their willpower strengthens their body. I do not know if our science can fully explain it." Even among the crew, admiration grew. Some began joking that humans were machines with feelings, though there was truth in the jest. Their skepticism shifted to respect, and even those who doubted Aaron's abilities could not deny his achievements. He had survived on a damaged vessel for days and now continued to assist the Union ship without slowing. Myra observed these reactions with satisfaction. The whispers of doubt were turning into discussions of strategy. If humans could endure beyond normal limits, they could be valuable allies in missions that demanded persistence. Myra realized that she had underestimated humanity. Their strength was subtle but profound, rooted not in physical power but in the ability to continue when others might fail. One evening, as the stars streaked past the viewports, Myra approached Aaron. "You inspire the crew," she said quietly. "They have begun to see humans in a new way. They are learning from you, even if they do not always understand why." Aaron looked tired but shook his head. "I do not do it to inspire. I do it because it must be done. If something is important, you keep going. That is all. Myra smiled. His simplicity was striking. Humans seemed ordinary on the surface, yet they carried an extraordinary force within. Their endurance was not flashy, and it could be easily overlooked, but it was real. It had saved his ship, and now it was changing the way an entire crew viewed possibility. By the following morning, the whispers had become part of daily conversation. Crew members no longer questioned Aaron's abilities. They began to strategize around him, assigning him tasks that required persistence while supporting him in ways that allowed the team to function efficiently. Aaron's example subtly changed their workflow, and Myra realized the power of human determination extended beyond individual effort. It influenced everyone around them. For Myra, the most striking moment came when she heard a young engineer quietly say, "If we can keep moving like him, we can survive anything." Myra nodded to herself. That simple statement captured the essence of human strength. It was not about being invincible, but about refusing to quit. And in the vast reaches of space, where danger was constant and survival was never guaranteed, that refusal could be the difference between life and death. Myra returned to the control deck, watching Aaron work. His hands moved with steady precision, his mind sharp, his body enduring. She felt a deep respect and a growing curiosity. Humanity had secrets worth studying, and she was determined to understand them. For the first time, she realized that humans might change more than her crew's opinion. They might change the way the galaxy saw endurance, determination, and survival itself. The Reiner Union ship traveled farther than usual, following a weak distress signal from a remote colony. Myra examined the readings carefully. The colony was located deep inside an unstable sector of space, where storms of radiation and meteor fields made travel dangerous. Many species avoided this region, but the Union could not ignore a plea for help. "Reaching them will be difficult," said Tillo, frowning at the navigational map. "The storm patterns are unpredictable. We will need constant adjustments to the ship's systems to survive." Myra turned to Aaron, who was already reviewing the ship's engineering logs. "Can you help us?" she asked. "This will require continuous work for many hours, maybe even days. Our crew may not endure the strain alone." Aaron nodded. "I can do it. Tell me what needs to be done." The crew exchanged uncertain glances. They had seen Aaron work tirelessly before, but the mission ahead was more demanding than anything they had faced. Myra knew the risk. If anyone failed, the colony could be lost, and the ship itself might be damaged. The Union ship entered the unstable sector. Bright flashes of radiation lit the view screens, and sensors beeped warnings of approaching meteor fragments. The crew sprang into action. Alien engineers adjusted shields and reinforced the hull, but fatigue quickly set in. Even the strongest among them struggled to keep pace. Aaron moved through the engineering bay, checking panels, recalibrating energy flows, and monitoring shield integrity. Hours passed, and the storm intensified. Meteors pummeled the ship's outer hull, causing minor breaches and system failures. Myra watched in disbelief as Aaron continued working without pause. His hands were red from strain, his body shook slightly from exhaustion, yet he never stopped. 3 times without stopping, Myra whispered under her breath. She could not believe he was still functioning. His human endurance seemed limitless, even in conditions that would have overwhelmed any other species. At one point, a critical energy surge threatened to shut down the ship's engines. The alien engineers panicked, unsure how to stabilize it. Aaron quickly assessed the problem. "We need to reroute the power through the auxiliary circuits," he said calmly. Tillo, help me with this. Everyone else, monitor the shields. Working side by side, Aaron and Tillo stabilized the engines. Myra watched the young human move with precision and determination. Even after continuous hours of work, his focus never wavered. He checked readings repeatedly, adjusted circuits, and ensured the engines continued to run at full power. During a brief lull, Myra approached him. "How are you still moving? You should be exhausted." Aaron wiped his brow and smiled faintly. "I am tired, yes. But the colony depends on us. If I stop, others might fail. I just keep going." Myra nodded, feeling a growing admiration. Humans were different from any species she had encountered. Their strength lay not only in their minds but in their ability to endure beyond normal limits. It was persistence that made them extraordinary. As the ship drew closer to the colony, the storm worsened. Meteors struck shields, engines groaned under pressure, and life support systems showed minor fluctuations. The alien crew began to falter under the continuous strain. Myra herself felt the limits of her endurance. Yet Aaron did not stop. He moved from one station to another, offering guidance, performing repairs, and maintaining the ship's stability. Hours turned into a day, and still, Aaron continued. Myra noticed that the crew, inspired by his example, found renewed strength. They worked longer, moved faster, and coordinated more efficiently than before. Aaron's presence motivated them, his determination becoming a force that carried the entire ship through the storm. Finally, after long hours of struggle, the Union ship emerged from the unstable sector. The colony appeared on the sensors, its habitats damaged but intact. Myra breathed a sigh of relief. The mission was successful because of the human who refused to stop, who endured through fatigue and fear when others could not. The crew gathered around Aaron. Some were exhausted, their bodies trembling, yet their faces showed admiration. Myra looked at him with respect. "You have shown us what humans can do," she said softly. "Your endurance has saved this colony and our ship. I have never seen anything like it." Aaron shook his head. "I only did what had to be done. If we stop, the people we protect are at risk. That is enough reason to continue." Myra understood. His words were simple, yet powerful. Humans were not the strongest or fastest, but their persistence was unmatched. It was not about physical power alone, it was about the choice to keep going, no matter the obstacles. That night, as the ship sailed toward the colony, Myra recorded the events. She knew the galaxy needed to understand the value of human endurance. They were not invincible, but they were capable of achieving the impossible simply by refusing to quit. And Myra knew, deep in her heart, that this human's example was only the beginning. Humanity had more to show, and the galaxy would soon learn that their persistence could change the course of events in ways no other species could match. The Union ship floated through space, carrying the crew closer to the colony that needed their help. The storm in the sector had passed, but the damage to the ship had left the crew weary. Systems were fragile, alarms still flickered occasionally, and repairs were far from complete. Myra watched her crew moving through the corridors, their bodies showing the strain of continuous work. Aaron, however, seemed unaffected. He moved from station to station, checking systems, performing repairs, and coordinating the crew with calm precision. Myra followed him, her admiration growing with every passing moment. Hours had turned into days since he had first boarded the ship, yet he had not slowed. The storm in the sector returned suddenly, stronger than before. Meteor fragments struck shields, energy surges threatened the engines, and communications flickered under the strain. The crew sprang into action, but fatigue quickly set in. Even the strongest engineers began to falter, their movements slowing, their focus breaking. Myra realized the mission had reached its most dangerous stage. "We must stabilize the ship immediately," she said to the crew. "Aaron, we need your help at the engine control." Aaron nodded without hesitation. He moved quickly, his hands steady as he rerouted energy flows, sealed breaches, and repaired damaged circuits. Myra watched in awe. His hands were raw, his body trembling slightly, but his determination never wavered. He refused to stop. Hours passed, and the storm continued to batter the ship. The alien crew struggled, some collapsing from exhaustion, others moving too slowly to make critical repairs in time. Myra herself felt the strain, her mind racing to keep track of the ship's systems. Yet Aaron continued, his focus absolute, his endurance seemingly limitless. At one point, a surge in the main engine threatened to shut down all systems. Alarms blared, and sparks flew from damaged panels. The alien engineers froze, unsure how to respond. Aaron acted immediately. "We need to divert auxiliary power through these channels," he said. "Tillo, help me. Everyone else, monitor the shields." Working quickly, he stabilized the engine, but the effort left his hands shaking. Myra gasped, her voice trembling with disbelief. 3 times wasn't the limit. He's still going. Aaron looked at her briefly, sweat on his brow, his breathing heavy. "If someone depends on you, you don't stop," he said simply. "That is all there is to it." Myra felt a wave of respect and admiration. Humans were different from any species she had encountered. Their strength was not only physical but mental, rooted in the ability to endure when others would give up. Aaron's persistence had kept the ship alive, guiding the crew through danger when all seemed lost. The storm raged on, testing every system of the ship. Meteors struck shields, engines groaned under pressure, and communication relays failed intermittently. Myra watched Aaron move tirelessly between stations, repairing, recalibrating, and guiding the crew. Even when his movements slowed slightly, he did not stop. The crew began to take inspiration from him. Engineers who had collapsed under fatigue found renewed strength, moving with more precision, encouraged by Aaron's example. Myra realized that human endurance was contagious. Their determination could lift the spirits of others, enabling them to accomplish tasks that seemed impossible. After nearly 2 days of relentless work, the storm finally began to subside. The ship's systems stabilized, and the crew allowed themselves to rest. Myra approached Aaron, who leaned against a control panel, his body exhausted but his mind still alert. "You did it," she said softly. "You kept us alive. You saved the ship and everyone aboard. I have never seen anything like it." Aaron shook his head, his voice calm despite the exhaustion. "I only did what needed to be done. If we stop, others suffer. That is reason enough to continue." Myra nodded, understanding the depth of his words. Human strength was subtle yet extraordinary. It was not about being invincible or faster than others. It was about choosing to continue, to endure, when everything seemed impossible. As the crew settled, Myra reflected on the mission. They had survived the storm because of Aaron's persistence, his refusal to quit, and his ability to inspire others. The alien crew had learned something valuable about humans: they could endure far beyond normal limits, and their determination could change the outcome of even the most dangerous missions. For Myra, the moment was unforgettable. She had seen the full extent of human endurance. She had witnessed a being continue through exhaustion, fear, and danger without pause. And she knew that humanity's ability to endure would not be forgotten. Looking at Aaron, Myra felt a deep respect. He was tired, but his resolve remained strong. He had proven that humans could achieve the impossible, not by raw power, but by refusing to stop, by persisting when all others would surrender. And Myra knew that the galaxy would remember this lesson. Humans were not the strongest or fastest, yet their endurance made them extraordinary. Their persistence could change the fate of missions, colonies, and even entire star systems. The storm had passed, leaving the Union ship and its crew exhausted but intact. The colony appeared on the sensors, its buildings damaged but still standing. Myra watched as Aaron moved steadily through the ship, checking life support, engines, and navigation systems. Even after days of continuous work, he showed no signs of giving up. "Prepare to dock," Myra ordered. "We need to assist the colony immediately." The alien crew moved cautiously. Many were still recovering from the storm's effects, their bodies weakened from fatigue. Aaron, however, moved with calm determination. He coordinated repairs, guided the crew, and ensured that emergency systems were functional. Myra could see that his presence inspired others. Engineers who had been weary found renewed energy, following his instructions and completing tasks with efficiency. When the ship landed near the colony, Myra led the team alongside Aaron. They found the colony's structures battered by meteor impacts, and some habitats had lost power. The local inhabitants, a mix of scientists and families, had survived, but their resources were limited. Aaron immediately assessed the situation. "We need to restore power first," he said. "Then we can repair the shelters and provide water and food." Myra followed his lead. She noticed how calmly he delegated tasks, balancing speed and care. Even when a heavy support beam collapsed, Aaron reacted quickly, securing the area and organizing the crew to move debris safely. The aliens were amazed at his focus. Where they would have panicked or slowed, he remained composed, thinking clearly under pressure. Hours passed as the team worked tirelessly. Aaron coordinated repairs, recalibrated power grids, and ensured that the colony had functioning communication systems. Myra watched as he continued to work while others rested briefly. She realized that his persistence had a ripple effect. His refusal to stop motivated everyone around him to continue as well. By evening, the colony's essential systems were restored. The inhabitants could return to their routines, and the immediate danger had passed. Myra gathered her crew and the colony leaders. She looked at Aaron, her eyes reflecting admiration. "You have shown us something extraordinary," she said. "Your endurance, focus, and persistence have saved this colony. I have never witnessed a being continue under such pressure without rest. You have inspired us all." Aaron shook his head gently. "I did what needed to be done. If someone depends on you, you keep going. That is all." Myra smiled. She understood now that human strength was different from any other species she had met. It was not measured in speed, size, or power alone. It was the ability to endure, to persist when others would give up, and to inspire others by example. Humans had survived harsh planets, dangerous journeys, and unpredictable challenges because they refused to stop. The alien crew began discussing what they had learned. "Humans are extraordinary," said Tillo. "Their endurance is unmatched. Even when we collapse, they continue." Myra nodded. "It is not just their body. It is their mind, their will. We should record this and study it further. Humans may change the way we approach challenges in the galaxy. As the crew prepared to leave the colony, Myra stood beside Aaron. "Do you ever stop?" she asked quietly. Aaron laughed softly, a tired but genuine sound. "I stop when I must sleep or eat. But when someone depends on me, I keep going. That is how humans survive." Myra studied him, realizing the truth in his words. Humans were not the strongest, yet they could achieve the impossible. Their endurance, their persistence, and their determination made them extraordinary. Across the galaxy, other species might rely on technology, strength, or speed, but humans relied on their will to continue. The Union ship lifted off, leaving the colony safe and secure. Myra looked at Aaron as he moved through the corridors, checking systems and assisting the crew. She felt a sense of pride and awe. Humanity had a strength that could change the galaxy. Their persistence could overcome challenges that no other species might survive. Later, Myra recorded her observations. "Humans," she said into her log, "are not the strongest or the fastest. Yet they endure when others cannot. Their determination allows them to achieve the impossible." One human has proven that persistence can save lives, inspire others, and change the outcome of events. The galaxy should take note of this remarkable species. Aaron, tired but content, leaned against a console. He watched the stars pass by, calm and steady. Myra approached him once more. 3 times, without stopping, she said softly, echoing her first words when she first met him. "Human, that should not be possible. And yet, it is." Aaron smiled faintly. "It is possible if someone chooses not to quit. That is what humans do." Myra nodded. She realized that this story would be remembered. The tale of a human who endured the impossible would inspire her crew and perhaps the entire galaxy. Humans were not merely another species among many, they were a force defined by determination, endurance, and the refusal to give up. And as the Union ship sailed into the depths of space, Myra knew that humanity had only begun to reveal its true potential. The galaxy would remember their persistence, and the legend of humans who never stop would endure for generations.